What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Hookup Podcast. Today, we are missing Ben, but we have a much better guest, legendary Griff, as everybody knows. What's going on, dude?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You've had a rough day today, so thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's not a good day.
Do you want to explain what happened today?
Nope.
All right, so so Griff, you've been on our channel now for quite a while now.
It's been a couple of years.
2.5 years now at this point. And a lot of you guys have come to love Griff, and a lot of people don't really know anything about Griff, so we decided, like, yo, you should come on and kind of give us a backstory of, you know, how long you've been fishing for, where you fished, and where you've traveled to. And, you know, it seems like every day I come into the shop, you have, like, a new story to tell. And I'm always like, wait, you did that then? You were into this then, too? You owned one of these?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like you've lived 20 different lives.
I also feel like I've lived 20 different lives.
And you're not even, well, you're younger than Ben? Because Ben's
same,
like,
I think same.
That sucks, because Ben's old.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you do look better than him.
True. No.
But, I mean, how did you first get into fishing? I mean.
Well, my dad was a fisherman.
Okay.
And he used to take me fishing all the time.
Mm.
We used to do like a ton of, like, you know, worm.
Just normal.
Split shot worm stuff. And I remember being a kid and just catching a lot of bluegills.
Okay. And where was this? This was
probably like Pennsylvania or something.
Okay,
like that.
East Coast. So you started on the East Coast for fishing.
Yeah.
Was
maybe New Jersey. My dad was in the military, so we moved around a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I know my family was from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And then we lived in New Jersey, so
kind of going back and forth between those places?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just like bluegills, and I liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it at a very young age?
Little, like 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, super young.
Yeah, and I can do it all myself. Sometimes I would go in the backyard and grab some worms.
Really?
I've been fortunate enough to live near water.
Yeah.
Like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So within like a half mile, I'd just be at a little pond catching bluegills.
So sick.
Yeah, it was dope. It was sick.
I mean, growing up here, you definitely didn't have that kind of luxury. But, I mean, my dad would obviously take me fishing as well. The same thing, split shot, bobber, and a worm.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're catching bluegill, bass, tilapia, catfish. It didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And it was just fishing. And as a kid, you just wanted to go fishing.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
It was something so new, and you were having success with it.
Yes.
So it was so great, right?
Yep. So you started on the East Coast. When did you then come out this way? Or what was the process of going from East Coast? Because I know you were in Washington for a while as well.
Yeah, so again, my dad got stationed there when I was young. So I went from like New Jersey to Washington. And again, I had like a pond in my backyard. I had a whole lake.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Literally, I just jumped the fence and boom, there was a whole
way.
giant lake right there.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah, and
So
I could just fish right there. Boom, boom, or I can walk down the hill.
What were you catching in Washington?
Same thing, catfish. I caught a lot of catfish. So one of my favorite things to do was to catch like bullhead.
Bullheads, okay.
I would chop them up.
Chop them up.
And then I would catch catfish.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Just classic fishing, dude.
Yeah, chop them up, cast it out there, catch like some catfish. I don't remember catching like bass. We caught a lot of trout. You know, being from Washington, trout's like the big thing out there.
Okay, yeah.
I never remember catching like a ton of bass, and if I did, I just didn't know what it was. And
okay, so at this point, you weren't into bass fishing, or you were just fishing still.
Yeah.
Just whatever bit you were happy with.
Yeah, always live bait, and never seen an artificial anything. Yeah. If I could catch it and cut it up and catch something with it, I was
stoked.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did the Washington thing, and then I know you kind of followed in your dad's footsteps, and you went into the military.
Yes.
So tell us about the place that you've gone to.
Oh man,
I know there's a ton.
Yeah. Well, Europe.
Yep.
All over Europe. Asia, Korea, Japan. Some other places.
Yep.
Southwest Asia.
Okay.
So every terrible desert that exists in the world, I've been to. Yeah. I did a lot of traveling, so 20 years spent in the military. I've only spent 4 years of that in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy
so
smokes.
I was gone.
You were gone, dude.
I was gone. I literally had to come back and relearn how to be an American.
I was going to say, like, for that long, being in so many different cultures and areas of the world, like, it must be, like, kind of a culture shock to come back to America.
Yeah.
I mean, what was some of your favorite highlights of some of those places? Like, I know you like Germany a lot.
Yeah, Germany was good. I was young, so I used to party.
Party, right?
Yeah, I used to just it used to just get crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Go down to Frankenstein Castle and
Yep.
have a big old party, and we used to do a little bit of fishing there, but
Okay.
it just was different, you know what I mean?
Right.
Carp, pike,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yep.
I lived right next to the Rhine River.
Oh, you did?
Which was it's like a giant river.
Huge river over
Yeah,
there.
but
Yep.
no one ever. I just meet people. Hey, let's take me fishing. They'd be like, no. Yeah, like nah.
We're partying too much.
Yeah, like nah. We don't know how to do that. Like okay, whatever. Yeah, and then big mistake when I went to Japan. Like all I did was saltwater stuff, and didn't even understand that there was bass there.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
you were stationed in Okinawa, correct?
Okinawa, yeah.
So if you don't know, Okinawa is basically the southern tip of Japan, and it's not, when you think of Japan, you think of like kind of the mainland.
Yeah.
How many miles south is it from there?
It's got to be like 700 miles
Dude,
or
it's
something like
far.
that. Yeah, it's
because
way down
it's
there.
tropical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you were on Okinawa for how many years?
Like 5 years.
5 years,
I was
right?
there for quite a while.
It's a small place, right?
Yeah, and I had a break in between though, so like 4 years spent total there.
Okay.
But in between, I spent a year in one of those deserts.
Oh,
So
go from tropical to desert,
Yeah.
and then back.
yeah,
So how was Okinawa fishing? I mean, it's like you said, all saltwater fishing, right?
yeah. So I just we would get a boat, and we'd get on the boat. We'd live line bait.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
For like a yellowfin tuna.
Oh, so fun.
Dude, catch like 200-300 of those things a day.
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah, fill the fridge up.
Yep.
And then every once in a while, you just, the captain would see something. We'd go out there and catch mahi.
Ugh, so sick.
Yeah.
All in Okinawa.
Yeah, it was
would've
pretty
thought?
sick. And not even far. Like, we weren't
Right.
going like 20, 30 miles offshore.
Oh.
It was like right there.
That's so sick.
Like 2-3
dude.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weather was nice, right? Like,
Yeah, all year round. Like
Oh.
60 degrees was freezing out there. Like here,
jeez.
kind of.
You're right. Yeah.
But humid.
Oh, but humid. Okay.
Super humid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a lot of that. And then I remember one day some dude was like, yo, there's a pond back here that's got bass in it. And I was
Yeah.
like, for real? He was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't got no gear. Let me go out and get some gear. So
Yeah.
I went out trying to find a bass fishing rod
In
in
Okinawa.
Okinawa. It's like mission impossible, right? You go in all these stores. They're like their main brand or whatever would be plastered on the store. So like a lot of Shimano stores
Shimano,
out there,
right?
right?
Yeah.
So there's like warehouse that just says Shimano on the side.
Yeah,
You go in
yeah.
there and it's like row after row after row of saltwater stuff. And you're just like, oh, I don't know. And then you'll see like one section like this big and be like, oh, here's 2 rods that you can use to catch bass with.
Yeah, have fun with this.
Yeah. Remember I found some stuff. I got it. And I went back there, me and this dude. We pitched out some lures. And I was getting bites. And I was just like, oh, man, there is fish in here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I finally catch one. And it's this giant tilapia.
Tilapia.
Yeah. He was like, see, dude, I told you there was bass in here. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bass.
Not a bass, bro.
So at this point, you were interested in bass fishing.
Yeah, so like I think from like ages like 8 to and on is when it really like picked up. Like at that time we were living in like upstate New York,
Okay.
and the St. Lawrence River was 30 minutes away from the house.
Literally the most legendary smallmouth fishing in the world right now.
Yeah.
So
And
that
I
must have been insane.
And I remember going to these places. There was this little, I don't know what it was, like a port area in this place called Clayton.
Oh, Clayton. Yeah. Yeah.
And me and my dad would sit there and just drop minnows down there.
Yeah.
And catch fish.
Oh,
All fish.
all
fish,
big smallmouth?
fish. Yeah, big smallies. Pike.
Everything, right?
I seen some dude catch a sturgeon out
A
there.
sturgeon.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Damn.
And the fishing was a lot different there.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And then I remember we were on another lake up there called Black Lake, and I was watching this dude. Me and my dad were fishing a crappie tournament.
A crappie tournament?
Yeah, we were
That's
fishing
so
a-
random.
Yeah, we were fishing a crappie tournament, and I remember this dude was just pulling like giant bass out of these trees.
Way.
And I was just like, man, what is he doing?
Yeah,
right now?
I gotta get on that.
I gotta learn this. So we went to the dock, and he was there, and I said, hey, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And what are you catching? He was just like, oh man, I'm just catching bass, and he showed me the spinnerbait.
A spinnerbait, that's sick.
And I was like, how do you use it? He was like, oh, you just cast it and you just burn it through the trees. I was like, cool. I was like, I'm gonna get one of those, and he was like, you can have it, dude.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, sick.
Dude, that's so sick.
So we went back out. We got lunch. We went back out, and I remember I made a cast.
Yeah.
And I'm just burning it, and then boom, that fish hit it.
Oh.
And I don't think I've touched a minnow since then.
Really?
Dude.
Just like that,
like
light
all
switch.
day, and it was just like these big smallmouth, just boom, boom, boom.
God. Big smallmouth
Yeah,
on
and
a spinnerbait.
it just flipped a switch in my
messes
head. Like,
with you. You're like,
this is better.
this is like the stimulation is 10 times way better.
Yeah.
Than like watching your bobber go down or watching a fish eat. Like you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And that I feel like that feeling is like the connection that we all make when it comes down to that switch.
Yeah.
From like, yeah, we'll just catch whatever to like, no, I want to cast and I want to feel that bite. I want to get that reaction from that fish. I mean, granted, my first interactions was with a shaky head and 1 pound largemouth while you're catching 4 pound smallmouth in trees. Like,
Yeah.
just, it's sick, but it doesn't matter. Like, whatever it is, there's a trigger in our brains that like the stimuli of getting a bite, like, makes us like, all right, this is the only thing we want to do from now on.
And still to this day.
Oh, dude, it
hasn't gone away, right?
It doesn't get old.
You could be like, oh, you could not fish as much sometimes and be like, oh, I'm not feeling it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you go out, and then as soon as you get that tick on your line, you're like,
It's over.
17 hours later, you're going home. Like,
and, you know, obviously a lot of people know, like, I'm a swim bait guy and you're like a conventional guy.
yeah,
But, dude, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm getting bit on a 12-inch glide bait or a spinnerbait or crankbait.
Bro,
that bite.
One of the happiest I've ever seen you is when we were throwing that big MMZ worm at the river down there.
Yeah.
You were having a great time.
I mean, as soon as you showed me, like, I was like, dude, this 13-inch MMZ is the coolest worm I've ever seen. We have to go fish it.
Yeah.
And we went and fished it. You caught some fish on it. You handed me the rod. I caught some fish on it. I was like, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know what it is, but just the prime instinct to want to catch a fish is just so ingrained in our brains at this point.
It is.
And I don't think it's ever going to escape. As much as I sometimes want to put it on the back burners, there's always this itch of like, dude, I got to go get that bite.
Yeah.
It just keeps you going.
Yeah.
It really does.
There's so much going on at the same time, right? I feel like I find a lot of peace in fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, you're always asking me, like, why are you smiling? We're having a terrible day.
Yeah,
why
it's
are
an
you
awful
smiling?
day. We haven't caught anything. And you're still smiling. You're like, yeah, I'm just out here fishing.
I find a lot of peace when I'm fishing, and that's what I need the most in my life is peace, right? So it's just like, yeah, I don't care.
You know, we'll get back into more like your backstory, but you know, one thing fishing with you is that mentality. Like for me, I find myself stressing about getting that bite, catching a certain size fish, or so on and so forth. But there's times when I'll fish with you, and you know, obviously we're targeting largemouth, but you'll catch a different species. And I'm like, oh, that was sick.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, but we're not going for largemouth.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, it bit my bait. It fought. I got it in, and like, it was fun. And so a lot of that has obviously like seeped away from my own fishing, but you know, it's refreshing to see your perspective on fishing as a whole is a relaxing time. You're out there, you're just trying to catch a fish.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what fish it is. You're just trying to catch a fish. Where unfortunately I'm a bass elitist. So like when I'm out there fishing and I hook into a tilapia or a catfish, I'm like, you've got to be shitting me.
Yeah.
This is terrible. Why can't I just catch a bass? But then you'd be like, dude, I caught so many fish. I caught a white bass. I caught a largemouth striper. I caught a catfish. Like, and I'm like,
yeah.
And you're happy with all of it. And you're like, dude, it was sick.
Yeah.
They were biting every cast. And I'm like, ugh, I need to have that mentality more in my fishing.
You just got to bring it back, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Back to the basics, right?
Yeah. It's just like people who only want to catch big fish, and they'll go out there and they'll put themselves in position to catch big fish.
Yeah.
But they're not catching any fish.
Yeah, a lot of the times.
Right.
I don't catch shit.
So they'll be like, yeah, but that's a tiny fish. I'm like, what did you catch?
Nothing.
You fucking catch nothing,
Right.
bro. Like you have to enjoy every catch, right? Like it's a blessing,
Right. Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's so sick. Like
a part of that is since I don't catch a lot of fish, the ones I do catch are very special.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's like, there's times where I've gone months without catching a fish, and then I'll finally catch a fish, and I'm like, dude, oh my god, this is the greatest thing of all time. It like all that stress and anger that I had before just wipes away.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at me, I caught a bass today, and obviously I am chasing after a bigger fish, and that's like the whole goal. So when it does happen, I'm extremely stoked. But then it might be a dry spell while you're like, dude, this place is biting full speed. I caught 50 fish. And I'm like, I don't think I've caught 50 fish all year.
Yeah.
And you just caught 50 today.
Yeah.
So like, there's definitely levels to fishing, and I think everybody has to find where they fit in the best.
Yeah, you gotta find what works for you the most.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you're okay with fishing for long periods of time without getting bites and stuff like that, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that's what you're into, that's what you're into, right? No one's gonna know. I don't want to judge anybody for any decisions they make for themselves, right?
You know.
So, but it's just some people are like, why are you judging me?
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed catching that 3-inch bass.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think as I've matured in my own fishing and I've been humbled over and over again with my fishing, I've definitely have changed my way of thinking. Like when I was like a teenager, you know, I was like, dude, why would you ever throw a drop shot? You know, fuck that shit. Like it's big bait or die. But nowadays I'm like, dude, I don't care what you throw. As long as you're catching fish and you're having fun and you're doing your thing, that's all that matters.
Because we're not pros.
No,
right?
We ain't, bro.
So we have to enjoy it.
Well, CJ's a pro.
Yeah, Pro Tour.
Yeah, that dude's Pro Tour.
Pro Tour.
2024.
No, more like 2042.
2042 is when CJ's going pro, guys. So he's gonna get his tracker wrapped.
Follow me on TikTok.
But
yeah, dude, you have to enjoy it. You
the
just have
process,
to,
right?
the process, the journey, all that stuff. You don't want to get too serious about it, right? To where you're just making fun of people and talking trash, but you're really not doing anything.
You ain't doing it either.
You ain't
Bro,
doing
we're on
anything
the same
special
level,
either.
bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to catch a fish. I'm trying to catch a fish. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, your goals just differ from mine. It doesn't mean that you have to insult me in the way that I fish. Like, it's just fishing is definitely one of the weirder sports when it comes down to, I don't know if it's jealousy or just talking down on people, but there's a lot of that in this sport.
I think it's because the pro pool is so small, right? I mean, there's not many people that do it professionally.
No, because it's very hard.
Yeah, and anybody can do it. You know what I mean? So like most sports, if you think about it, just like if you think about like the difference between a man and a woman, most of the time the man has a physical advantage.
Right.
But in fishing, nobody has an advantage. Not one person, no matter where you're from, your sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? None of that. Nobody has advantage. It's a sport of thought.
Yes.
Like you have to think through what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really one of the only sports that, you know, you can only do so much as an angler to like perfect casting or whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we're fishing for a living being.
Yeah.
Like that has its own thoughts and processes, that lives underwater, that we can't see with our own eyes. Like, and that's the sport or the hunt of it, where like I always tell CJ, I'm like with basketball, I can get better at free throws just by shooting 100 free throws. But just because I cast 100 times doesn't mean I'm going to catch fish.
You're right.
Like that doesn't matter.
Right.
But what matters is what you were saying about thinking of where you're going to make those 100 casts will dictate if you catch fish or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like something that's like mind blowing, and the guys that are pros at it, kudos.
Yeah, it's
that's
difficult.
insane.
That's
It
a
can be
difficult ride right there.
I mean,
right?
truly one of the most humbling things I've ever experienced in my life is fishing. Because there's times when I'm on a high, like most people, where you're like, dude, I jacked him. And then you got again, dude, I jacked him again. I'm on him. I'm king of the world.
Yeah.
And then finally that day comes where you're like, yeah, I didn't catch anything today.
Yeah, I drove 2.5 hours. I didn't get a bite.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, I don't know what happened. I thought I made all the right casts today, but I didn't. And then you get down to the dock and some dude's like, dude, I jacked him today. You're like, what were you doing? And it's the complete opposite of what you were doing. You're like, gosh darn it, I should have known.
I should have thought of that.
Yeah, I should have thought.
But you didn't.
Actually, I knew I should have done that. I just didn't do it.
Yeah, but you didn't.
But I mean, just fishing as a whole, it's definitely one of those things that is very humbling. But I think if people find their own lanes in it, I think people will be very successful in their fishing.
Yeah.
So I mean, going back to more about your past in fishing, one of the more interesting things is when you were in Korea and you were fishing frogs.
Yeah.
At that one pond.
Yeah, so in Korea is kind of like the same thing. Like no one really wants to talk about bass fishing.
Yep.
It's a lot of, it's a peninsula, so there's a lot of salt water around you. You have the Han River.
Yep.
But there's not really much fishing going on out there.
Really,
Everybody's fishing in like rice paddies.
Right.
And, like these little small areas, catching giant bass out of like, it's 3 feet wide and like a foot
crazy
deep.
Stuff.
Yeah. So no one even wants to share anything, and is trying to get, moving to a foreign country and trying to learn how to meet people there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was probably meeting people for other reasons, other than fishing, right? So, so we had this little pond, and someone said, "Hey, fish are eating in the pond. Throw a frog." Like, oh shoot, let me go get a frog. So I found a frog. I went back there. I go and
Did
make.
he also say it was bass in the pond too?
He did say there was bass eating in the pond. Yeah. And I remember I get a frog.
Yep.
I cast it out there. I get like 2 twitches on it. It gets blown up. I'm like, oh man, I set the hook.
Yeah.
I reel it in, and I got the craziest looking whatever it is.
You had no idea what it was.
On the end of my line, and I was just like staring at it.
Yeah.
There's these 2 old Korean dudes just watching me. They're like sitting down, and I grab it, and I just see teeth, dude. And I was like, oh man, my frog's in there.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah. So one of the old dudes comes up and he grabs it from me. He sticks like this piece of wire in its mouth.
Yep.
Pops my frog out and takes the fish and puts it in his bucket.
He just takes your fish?
Yeah, he just took it. And I was just like,
what the hell was that?
Yeah, like what is that? I'm trying to figure it out. So I keep on fishing, and the boom, I'm catching another one.
Yeah.
And then the same thing, the guy comes over there, and I was like, hey, hold on, dude.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
And he said something in Korean, which I probably should know, but I don't. And I was looking at it, so I took a picture of it. I went home. I did like this crazy 2-hour search on Google to figure out it was a snakehead.
A snakehead. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Just a random pond in Korea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just a random pond. And
I mean, at least it's something cool though.
It was dope.
Like eating frogs. Like when I think of snakeheads, I think of frogs, because they just absolutely smash a frog.
Oh yeah.
And they fight super hard too. Like it's a cool fish.
And they weren't very big. You know what I mean? Probably like 18, 19 inches.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but long and slender.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd say so. You're frog fishing in Korea.
Yeah. So
stationed there, like. That's cool.
Every chance I had to, I would go down there and I would go fish a little.
Oh, that's so sick.
Never caught a bass.
When do you finally catch a bass?
Right? Shoot, probably when I came back to America.
Isn't that crazy? So then you've been to all these places and then you finally come back. From there, do you move back to Washington or did you move to Arizona?
No, I came to Arizona.
Damn.
So I retired and then I came to Arizona. There was something crazy going on in my life, and I didn't want to go back home.
Okay, yeah.
I just needed to just be by myself.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I moved here because I didn't really know anybody. I had one person here that I knew, my roommate that I live with right now.
Oh, sick.
And I didn't know anybody. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go there.
Yeah.
I don't know nobody. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I just wanted to be alone.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
I had a crazy plan, and then it was easier for me not to know nobody while I was implementing this plan, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I tell people fishing saved my life. Because I got here, And that's all I did for like a year and a half.
Just fishing.
Just fishing.
Really?
Yeah.
Everywhere?
No, just at the river.
At the river.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone. I couldn't get a ride anywhere.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I was just like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started meeting people down there.
Okay. Yeah.
Sharing things, you know, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I was just like, man, this is dope.
This is dope, right? Yeah.
But the craziest thing is, like, when I was getting ready to retire, everybody would be like, what are you gonna do? And I would tell everybody, I'm going fishing.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, but what are you gonna do for a job? Like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm going fishing.
I'll worry about that important thing later. I'm going fishing.
I'm going fishing. Yeah, and I literally retired and fished almost every single day for 18 months.
Insane. Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
That's so sick, though.
Before I got a job.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so much fishing.
But I was a bum.
Yeah.
Like a total bum.
But you were doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I was finding peace. I was re-finding my peace.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Which is important.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people struggle in finding that.
Yeah. And that's what did it for me.
It was fishing.
Yeah.
Was the fishing good, too?
Sometimes. It was, you know, it's fishing, right?
Right.
Sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was terrible. But it was always fun.
It was just fun
always,
to get out.
It was always good. I never came home
Mad that you went fishing.
with a sad face.
Right, yeah.
Or anything, right?
You went fishing.
Yeah, I went fishing.
So, I mean, how long after that did you start coming to the shop?
So in between that, in that 18 months, I started coming to the shop. And then I remember when COVID kind of like, I think COVID brought me closer to the shop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I was trying to get Ben out. Like, I met Ben. For some reason, we actually built a friendship.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, you know, if it was meant to be or whatever,
Right.
but, you know, friendships are hard to build, especially in this industry when you own a shop and you think people, you know, a lot of people are there for the wrong reasons.
Right.
But I remember I would come in, and then COVID hit, and I remember I was like, you know what, dude? He was doing these lives.
Yeah.
Do you remember the lives? I loved them, dude.
Yeah.
I would sit at home and I would watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? You keep doing those lives, I'm going to bring you your beer.
Yeah.
So I just started bringing beer.
Started bringing
I would
beer.
just knock on the door, leave it at the thing because the shop wasn't open, and then I would just dip out.
Is beer the way to a man's heart?
Some.
At least Ben's.
Definitely the best.
Definitely to Ben.
Yeah, some maybe, yeah.
Were you the one that introduced him to Orion?
I was.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So this is your fault that he always offers Orion to all of us.
Yeah. And I don't even drink it.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. So this is what I drank when I was in Okinawa.
That's right, because it's Okinawa's beer.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
And I remember I found it at the market over here.
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
oh. I was actually looking for something to bring here, and I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I found the Orion. I was like, oh man, they got this.
Yeah.
Let me bring him some
That's
of this.
crazy.
And I brought it to him.
That's the origins of why Ben loves Orion.
Yeah.
It's because of this guy right here. Brought it one time, dropped it off, and didn't even say nothing.
Wait till we go get some cast with soju.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it's at, though. I think.
Dude, that stuff is good though. It's sneaky though.
The Orion?
No, shoju.
Soju?
Soju.
Have you
yeah.
had it with cast?
I haven't. No.
So we're gonna go to this spot that I was telling you.
Okay.
We're gonna go have some tapas and some drinks.
This is what I like to hear.
We'll find a time.
But I feel like you're right. I mean, around COVID is when I started working here too.
Yeah.
And then I remember, you know, you would come and you would always tell Ben like, "Hey, we got to go to the river. Like, it's fishing pretty good." And then we finally went, and it was an adventure. It was something that I'd never done because it was an all-day thing. And when was that?
It was 800 people with us.
Dude, oh my gosh, we had a crew deep, dude.
Yeah.
And we went to all these cool places. We were catching a bunch of fish, and like everybody was catching fish. And I was filming. I was like, "This place is magical."
Yeah. Sick, right?
And like, there was nobody else besides us really fishing. There was people like hiking around or whatever. But I just remember that trip there was a lot of trekking, waiting, and I was not expecting that going into it.
Yeah.
And so when we go to like the first crossing, I'm like, "Wait, we have to wade?" Okay, I've got this camera gear, and hopefully I don't slip and fall. But it was a fun day. We caught a lot of fish, and I was like, damn, that was sick. And then I remember Ben being like, dude, like, this place is sick. We should come here more often. Then we started having you be in the videos more, fishing more. And I feel like the relationship grew between you and Ben and me and you.
Yeah.
And, you know,
So
we were
that
fishing
trip
a
was
lot.
before I even started working here.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
I saw the videos and I was like, I can get you on some fish, dude.
Yeah. And we were fishing, I think, BFS.
BFS, yeah.
Crazy how it started back then. It was BFS. And, dude, we caught so many fish that day. Even I caught a fish. And I was like, dude, this place is sick. And, you know, that was like, all right, whenever we want to go fishing with Griff, like, it should be a good time. And then we had multiple trips after that. That was sick. We did some 1v1s. The
Create the 1v1 started there, yeah.
I think, what was the first one? Was it the bent minnow or was it the Evoke?
Evoke.
It was the Evoke.
Yeah.
Did you win that one?
I did.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Speaking of hell yeah, that's your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Hell yeah fishing.
Hell yeah fishing, yeah.
It's got 2 videos.
Two
at
videos
the time
so
of this
far.
recording. Congratulations. I hope it overtakes
Thank you, dude.
CJ's channel. It probably will because he hasn't posted nothing.
In like 6 years.
As long as you don't post in 2 years, I'm good.
But follow him on Hell Yeah Fishing. He's going to be posting just a bunch of different content that is exclusive to Griff's channel. So, hell yeah.
It's a fun time, but I feel like I picked up a whole full-time job.
Yeah?
Yeah. I never thought that, like, trying to create content for fishing would do all that.
It's
like,
a whole thing, man.
It's a thing.
It's a
right?
whole setup. Like, you got to make sure that chest is going, running, your external battery going, is the mic picking up, good audio.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I just caught the fish and the GoPro is angled down. Like,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. And then you have all this footage, and then you have to sift through it,
Yeah.
put it together, edit it, then upload it, and then it's like, whew, I have to do that all over again?
Yeah.
Like, once a week at least?
Minimum?
Holy shit. Like, it's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I think a lot of people have definitely started YouTube channels within the past, you know, couple of years because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people just, no, because they realize, like, oh, it's a whole thing, dude.
I think people will get really discouraged because the beginning sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you pour your heart and soul into putting something together,
Mhm.
and like 6 people look at it.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine starting up a YouTube channel now and fishing without any support, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely brutal, like you said.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm lucky
Mhm.
because a lot of people already know who I am.
Yeah.
Right? But I can see where the struggle lies
Mm.
and then how it can discourage somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even me, like, I'm just like, oh, man, it's not doing that good.
Mhm.
What do I got to do?
Right.
And then you just get into, like, this crazy, like,
It's a whole nother mental, like,
Yeah.
hurdle to get over.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, all 3 of us here, we have YouTube channels, and it's always, all right, what is the next YouTube video going to be about? First, you got to have an idea,
Mhm.
right? And then from the idea, you have to think about, like, how am I going to execute this? And then from there, you go out and you try and execute it. And again, what we talked about earlier, we're literally fishing for a living being.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if the fish just don't bite, how are you going to make a video out of that?
Yeah.
Right? And you're trying to show, like, a technique of, like, hey, we just got this new bait in, like, let's go catch some fish on it. Well, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We didn't catch a fish. Like,
But it looks cool.
It looks cool. Yeah, it swims good.
Nobody cares about looks cool, right? Like,
So it's like a whole thing, and then, you know, you might have one of those lucky days where it's like, dude, the fish bit, I got the footage, but you kind of have to chalk it up as like, all right, well, that was my one banger. Can I make another banger? Nah, this one's an eh. But then you have to think about, all right, can we make another good one? All right, cool, we made another good one. So it's like this, you have to think in your mind of like, not every video you're going to make can be a banger.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work.
they can't all be winners. You're going to lose more than you win. bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you take those wins and you're like, this was a great video. It was fun to make and shoot.
Mhm.
Those are my favorite videos, is the ones where like there was a plan, we executed it well, we caught fish, there's a good intro, outro, whatever. And I'm like, that was a fun day of fishing. We caught fish, we talked, like it's a full video. And those are the videos where I'm like excited to edit.
Yeah.
It's the other ones where I'm like, well, I got to post something.
Yeah. Well, let's go back in the archives.
Do I have anything to post? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
It'd
a
be-
whole thing.
It'd be sick if you could just do everything off shorts,
Yes.
right?
Oh my God.
For me, I was looking at that shorts thing.
Yeah.
And 10 million views every 90 days.
Right. Yeah.
No.
I mean, shorts are a weird one, because if you make shorts and you get a lot of views on the shorts, it doesn't transfer over to like your full-length videos, the ones that you put more effort into.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks. So that's why I've been very iffy on making shorts.
But now you can link your full-length videos in your shorts.
In the shorts, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully some people convert over there. It's just, I find that the people that specifically watch shorts, they only want to watch the short form content, because I feel like media nowadays have really pushed for short. I mean, look at TikTok, look at Instagram pushing reels. I mean, YouTube's pushing shorts. It seems like a lot of the effort on these platforms is for the short form content.
Yeah.
Because there's a fairly decent amount of reward from it, but when it comes to like the long form videos or just higher effort stuff, these platforms have started to neglect that.
Yeah, and no one has time to watch that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we're busier now in America than ever before.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we're just hustling just to make it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and a big thing, and I think I've talked to Ben and CJ about this, is like when it comes down to bass fishing videos, most people can just go do it themselves.
Yes.
It's not like we're doing anything extraordinary for the most part.
Yeah.
Where people are like, man, that's a dream thing I would love to do.
Yeah.
No, we're just literally going down to the local urban spot, catching fish.
We'll scoot down here, toss a couple things.
Yeah, and so most people, there's no extraordinary like factor when it comes down to making bass fishing videos. Most people can just do it themselves, right? And so then we have to figure out like ways of like, all right, how do we make a bass fishing video captivating enough? And for you, you know, you've been making your past two videos have been new products that most people probably haven't even had in their hands yet.
Yes.
Right. So people are like, oh, I want to see what this bait does, and so that's a great way to do that. You know, I obviously make big swim bait content, which a lot of people want to do. It's just sometimes it's very hard to catch on the big swim bait. So, you know, you make videos on that. CJ also tries to make, you know, different Arizona content. And
CJ used to make Arizona content.
CJ used to just make content in general, and then he just got lazy or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he is going pro.
Pro tour.
But it is crazy that, you know, media nowadays is very fast paced. Like you were saying, it seems like people just don't have the time.
Yeah, and people just, they don't want to sit there and watch one thing for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, they just want to flip.
Yep. Get some content, laugh,
flip,
cry, ingest, and then move on. Right.
Yep.
And you know, we also see that not just in people watching videos, but just people looking for answers. Right. So I mean, you answer, I bet you, so many DMs.
Yeah,
where you're
all
like,
day.
Where you're like, hey, like, it's kind of written on the wall, like right here. Like, I don't know why you came to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like people don't want to do any type of research to figure out things on their own a lot. They just kind of want it fast because people just want things fast nowadays.
Yeah.
In general, you know.
Yeah, they're looking for a SME, right? Subject matter expert, right? And they're just like, oh, I know a SME.
Right.
But sometimes it might take me like 12 hours to get back to them when they could have Googled it and found the answer in like 2 minutes. And they'll wait.
They will wait. Yeah. Which
like,
is,
I'll get the answer eventually.
Yeah. He'll answer me.
Yeah.
I'll just wait it out. And it's like, dude, you could have easily just figured it out on your own.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, but it's not obviously just for that, but I mean, people just want things fast. People want food fast. They want service done fast. They want all these things as fast as possible, right? And they find that, you know, there's certain ways to get things faster. Sometimes it is just faster to DM CJ about what camera he's using than try and do any type of research of figuring out like, oh, from this shot it looks like he's using this camera or whatever, right? Yeah. And so obviously you go through it a lot with like different baits and rods, reels, and you probably re-answer so many questions sometimes.
Yeah. And it becomes work, but I think I love it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the best part for me. Being
is helping people?
Is helping people.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I feel like everybody is meant to do something in their life. Yeah. And I think service of people is where I was meant to be. Right? So if you need help, I don't mind. As
long as they
don't
take advantage of you?
Yeah, you know, if you don't give me time to answer you. But some people, they ask you the question, and then when you give them the answer, they want to start debating you.
Oh, really?
Right? And this is where it gets like, look, I might not be the expert at this.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But this is what I know.
Yeah. You asked me this question
And
personally.
you asked me.
Right. Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm wrong. If you already knew I was wrong, then then you already know the answer.
Yeah, like,
you know what I
if
mean?
you already know the answer, why are you asking a question?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it comes up every once in a while, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Those are the ones that are, they're kind of annoying.
Kind of annoying, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, dude. I hate to, I know I've said this before, like, I hate to leave people out. I hate to neglect people. Right?
That's real.
Yeah. Like, if you've never noticed, if you send me a message, my response is usually immediate.
Yeah. Yep.
If you call me, I pick up my phone. And I hate to have somebody wondering anything.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just a weird thing that it's just been in me
Who would have
since.
thought Griff's a good guy?
I'm a good guy.
Crazy. Who would have seen that coming? It is true. You do text back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Where I'll text Ben. Might take 2 days, 3 days.
If you get a message back.
If I get a message back.
Yeah. You'll see him, like, you message him on Monday and you'll see him in the shop on Thursday and he'll be like, hey, I got your message. I was going to answer you back.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Or you try and call him. It rings 2 times. He just hangs up on you. Doesn't call back. And you're like, okay, that's cool, man. I thought we were going to talk. Because then he always is like, dude, I'll call you later. I'll call you later. That call never comes.
Never. You'll call me and then find every reason not to answer the phone call.
Yeah. So speaking of fishing, you started as a shore fisherman.
Yes.
Right. Just like myself. But I went to a John boat and I know, it's fucking like an airship turns on, dude.
Yeah, that's loud.
It's loud, ain't it? No.
Fucking loud. Yeah,
What
you
do
gotta turn that off.
Sounded like a fucking 737 Boeing flying overhead.
Exactly like that. Is it not working?
So you started with fishing from shore.
Yes.
Right. And only recently you finally got up off of the shore and got a kayak.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what has that journey been from being kind of locked on shore to finally getting off of the bank and basically having a watercraft?
Well, it just gives me a lot more freedom to move, right? Now I'm not crossing lakes
right
now,
yeah.
but it definitely, I can go to lakes.
Yeah.
Right,
You've been
so-
fishing even tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of these places, a lot of our lakes are not bank accessible.
No.
You got to find small bodies of water
Yep.
and urban stuff like that to fish the bank.
Yep.
But a lot of our lakes, it's just not good for it.
No, dude.
But with the kayak, I can launch anywhere I want.
Anywhere.
There's a tiny little hole. I
You
can
got it.
slide in there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah. It gives
And you've put it in fairly small bodies of water, and you've also put it in Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And fished around. And
Yeah.
it's honestly, it's a game changer. Like when I first went from fishing on the bank to like getting on a boat, which was basically a 10-foot John boat with my buddy. Dude, it's game changing.
Yeah.
You know, and it could also be like the grass is always green on the other side type stuff. But I find that like once you, especially here in this state, when somebody comes and moves here, I always tell them like, hey, unfortunately, this state for the lakes, you kind of need a boat.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of the lakes, either it's just an absolute pain in the ass to just walk them. Like Pleasant, when it's low, technically you can walk around. And I've done it as a kid. But man, is it a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal. And then obviously Swore and Canyon, they have sections. But most of the lake is like, nope, you ain't getting over there.
Here's your 50-yard stretch to fish with
with
everyone
all
with everyone else, right?
Yep.
And it's pretty dope though because they're not really changing the layout of the lake
Mm-hmm.
for people to go bank fish.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They're keeping it natural.
Very. Yeah.
Obviously they built stuff there.
Like a dock or something.
Yeah, but they're trying to keep it as natural as possible. And the environment out here, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, all the lakes have their own quirks and features to them, and it's beautiful when you get out on the water and explore more. It's just game-changing.
Yeah.
Now, why did you go with a kayak instead of like a John boat?
I like fishing alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like if I had a boat, I would just be inviting people to go fishing with me.
Or people would invite themselves.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Griff, let me go fishing with you.
Yeah, it's difficult to fish with other people because no one has the same
mentality, right?
Well, not even mentality. No one has the same goal for the day.
That's true. Yes.
Right? So like if you and I go, you want to do this and I want to do that.
Right.
We can't do it off this point. One of us has to not fish
right. Yeah.
or just waste casts.
Yeah.
Right? So in my kayak, I can just do whatever I want to do.
Exactly.
I've been fortunate enough to get a nice kayak. Has a motor built into it.
It's super nice kayak, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love your kayak.
So I can scoot around. I can scoot around as fast as anyone else can scoot around with a trolling motor.
Yeah, you move really quick in that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've decked it out.
Oh, bro.
Dude. So what's on that thing now?
Well, the only really new addition to it is I changed my whole electronics package onto it. I added a bunch of safety features like the lights, interior lights, exterior lights. I put the Garmin with the live scope on it. Yeah, down.
Yeah.
So that.
And then you have a crate in the back for your rods and gear, or what are you using?
So I use a horizontal rod holder.
Okay.
It hangs off the side of the boat.
Yep.
So I kept on hitting my rods behind me.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't figure out like how to change that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to put them on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't carry as many rods with me.
Got it.
But I think that helps me more.
Okay.
Like not having all the choices helps me focus on doing things.
Right. Yeah.
So it's fun.
Now, you did go pro tour for a little and fish tournaments. How was that?
The tournament season was fun. Yeah. I had a good time. A lot of good people out there fishing the tournaments. Everybody has the same goal to win the tournament, right? But I don't think I really found it super thrilling because there was no after. You know what I mean?
As in?
So like if you go, let's say you go fish the Opens or the Toyota Series, there's a next level.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
There's always another level until you hit, like the elites or the BPT or something like that. And it was just like, all right, season's over. See you next year.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I didn't want to continue doing that, but now it's all coming.
Oh, okay.
Kayak fishing is so new.
Yeah.
It's all coming. So now there's Bass Nation is doing a whole thing, right? So now you can win your way to the Classic,
which is crazy.
Which if you want to,
which is
right?
insane.
So
from a kayak.
The Kayak Classic. I think they fish it the day before or the day after. The regular Classic. So
now, have you always been a tournament guy?
I fished tournaments when I was younger.
Okay.
But I've not really been like crazy about I gotta fish this tournament.
Oh, okay.
As we speak, I'm going to go pre-fish for a tournament tomorrow. I think I do like 2 or 3 on a boat every year.
Okay, yeah.
And I want to do the seasons on a season with Bass Nation on the kayak too.
Okay, yeah. So that's a goal. Damn, blown up. What are you looking for? You can't have any of that stuff. It's all mine. No, it's just mine. I have no idea. I saw that earlier.
Yeah. It's all on the bottom of the Gila. Yeah, so Bass Nation is probably going to be my next step with that.
Big goal.
Yeah. I've never really talked about like being like a big time like tournament guy, but It's always on the mind,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
I think everybody
Yeah.
has some type of, well, maybe once or twice in their life has thought about just doing tournaments.
Yeah.
Just seeing how they do.
Because everybody's always asking me when I'm going to get a real boat and all this
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that. And I'm just like, yeah. I got to live my life within my means,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, especially with how much boats are.
Yeah, boats are very expensive,
Ridiculous,
so
yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go buy a boat tomorrow
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I got a kayak.
Right.
So I'm going to do what I can do on the kayak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sick.
So, with kayak fishing, is there advice you would give to anybody that wants to start kayak fishing? Because it's getting more and more popular, I feel like.
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give is to one, buy a good kayak, right?
Just off rip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would get a good kayak. A lot of people like to start somewhere and move up and move up and move up, but we all know what the results of that can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I did it. we all done it, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you flip your yak
Mhm.
because it's just not made to do
Certain things.
things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So buy a kayak that you're comfortable in,
Mm-hmm.
and never limit yourself to what everybody else is talking about. A lot of people are like, oh, you need a short rod. You need this, you need that. You can't do this. Bro, I'm rocking a Mark 56 every time I go
Yeah.
out on my kayak.
A full-on swim bait rod.
Yeah, full-on swim bait rod. Like you've seen, I had the blackjack
The
on there,
blackjack, yeah.
sitting down,
Yep.
fishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So don't limit yourself. Just get comfortable with what you're doing.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
You're not standing. You're sitting.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, the first time CJ ever filmed with you was when you guys flipped, which is
Yeah.
insane.
My first time really being on the kayak.
Yep. Yep.
CJ's first time out there.
And I remember you telling me, being like, dude, that kayak just wasn't it.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? It's like the kayak's fault? It's like, dude, 100%. It just couldn't handle just whatever you went through that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. That kayak, I mean, obviously I was at fault too because just not knowing what I was doing. But, you know, yeah, that kayak came and went fast. That kayak was gone.
You said you sold
that
the same
day.
day.
That day. But then I got into a super nice one.
Yeah. Which one do you have now?
So I'm in an Old Town 106 MK.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's been fun. I've caught a lot of big fish on
We've
it.
got a lot of fish in that thing now.
I've lost
Fish
a lot of
everywhere.
big fish on it today.
That we don't need to talk about.
Yeah, today. But it just gets better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So, when you started getting more into bass fishing, was there a huge urge to start getting more into JDM bass fishing because of coming in the shop, or did you have an interest before coming to the shop in like Japanese bass fishing?
Oh no, I knew nothing about.
Oh, okay.
Well, you knew about certain things like Division 110 has been in my arsenal since forever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I didn't really put it with JDM. It's like this is very
This is just
expensive,
jerkbait, yeah.
and it catches a lot of
Yeah.
fish, right?
Yep.
So that was the thing.
Mhm.
I never was like, oh yeah, this is JDM.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
probably super dope because, you know, the Japanese do things different.
Right. Yeah.
I was just like, this color's cool. It catches a lot of fish.
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money for it, so I don't want to lose it. Right?
That's the thought process on a lot of these things. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, that was my thinking as well on like Lucky Craft, because Lucky Craft was in a lot of places at the time,
Mhm.
and Lucky Craft is technically a JDM brand.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of amazing things. Like the Pointer was one of my first jerk baits.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I was like, dude, this thing just absolutely sticks them.
Yeah.
You know, and we were fish rapalas and other stuff, but that Pointer would just catch them so much better. And it was like I didn't know it was Japanese at the time, but there
Mhm.
was a connection there of like, this is just better.
Yeah.
Right. And that just grew more and more until, you know, now we're here in the #1 JDM shop in the country.
Yeah.
Where
In the
basically-
world, probably.
Probably in the world, where a lot of this stuff is just better.
Yeah, you start paying attention to like how things are made.
Mhm.
Like if you talk to Hiroshi from Nishini,
Yep.
and he's talking about, oh yeah, I came out with this.
Yeah.
I've been working on it for 15 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, 15 years?
Yeah, only 15.
Yeah.
You're like,
and then
what?
remember that one time he was like, oh, the bill was off by like 0.3
Yeah,
millimeter.
and I had to scrap
I
like
had to
$20,000 in baits or whatever. And
Yeah,
it's
I had
like,
to get rid of it and get it redone.
It's like, what?
That's not happening in the
No,
U.S.
absolutely.
They're like,
not.
oh, whatever, they'll
Who
deal
cares?
with it.
Yeah.
They'll still catch fish,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
right?
But it's just crazy the difference, especially when you start talking to more of the Japanese people and you realize, like, dude, they just pride themselves in craftsmanship, and it's great to be surrounded by that.
Yeah.
You know.
But I've always been in this mindset, like when I'm out fishing, like 110 or whatever, and someone says, "Oh yeah, I have a jerk bait. I paid $3 for it. And it can do the same thing." And I've always been in that mindset, like, no, I can't.
Yeah, it can't, bro.
I can't. Will you catch a fish on it? Yes.
Yeah.
Will you consistently catch fish on it?
Probably not, dude.
No, not even almost. And that's not saying that it's the greatest invention ever.
Right,
I'm just saying that it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And that's so many baits. I mean, I get that a lot in swim bait fishing.
Yeah. Like the pointer, like you said, the pointer. Pointer is the only jerkbait on the market that will truly suspend.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You will stop it and it will not move.
Nope. Ain't moving, bro.
Yeah. It doesn't care what the water temperature is.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about that stuff.
Yeah, crazily enough.
It's going to stop.
Mm-hmm. And it just works so
Yeah.
well. And it's worked so well for so long.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big thing, is that a lot of these baits, like a 110, it's been around for 20 plus years, and it still just jacks them.
Yeah.
While other baits of that same category they can, anyway.
Yeah.
And then because all it takes that one time you fish with a buddy, or you finally pick one up and you're like, oh my God, the difference is so clear.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Ben's first time fishing one of the tournaments at Apache. He told me, he's like, yeah, I was fishing whatever jerkbait, and then the guy I was fishing with the pointer, and he was just absolutely jacking them, and I couldn't catch anything. And I was like, dude, what are you fishing? He's like, oh, I'm fishing a pointer. And I think from there, Ben was like, oh, there's a huge fucking difference in these baits, man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great to see that, and especially, we get baits here in the shop that, they haven't been around for so long, but you'll take it out, or CJ takes it out, or I take it out, and we're like, dude, this is the deal.
Yeah.
Like,
or if all of us take it out and we all have
I'll
great
catch 'em.
days.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, this is the deal.
Yeah.
And then people go out and they buy it, and they also have success on it. It's like, yep, this is the deal, and you won't find this in really any of the other brands, dude, that here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely great to be around Japanese bass fishing, even though, like, when we first were getting into this stuff, we had no idea what any of this stuff was.
Yeah.
We just knew that it worked.
Yeah.
Right?
And it looked cool.
And it looked cool. Yeah, the
Right?
packaging.
Yeah. it looked cool. You're like, oh man, this caught my eye. But now we've learned that some things look cool and they're just not.
Not it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Japanese do a little too much,
Yeah.
where you're like, yeah, this is crazy, but it just doesn't kind of work.
Yeah. Like, calm down, guys.
Yeah, calm down. Calm down over there.
Be calm.
Now, one thing that you and I, outside of fishing, kind of connected with was shoes.
Shoes. Yeah.
And I've met a lot of people that are into fishing that also were into shoes as well. How did you get into shoes? Was it just a thing at the time?
So when I was a kid, I grew up poor.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't get shoes.
Okay, yeah.
Right. I could get shoes. Like my mom worked very hard to give us what we needed.
Yep.
But I couldn't get the cool shoes.
Oh, the cool ones, yeah.
Right. So when I had my own money and I got my own job,
Yeah.
I remember growing up, I wanted a pair of Timberlands.
Tim's, okay.
Yeah, I wanted a nice pair of Timberlands. And then I think probably one of my first Army checks, I went out and I bought 10 pairs of Timberlands.
No way.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm never going to be without these in my life.
Yeah.
Right? And then it slowly migrated to Nike
Yeah.
and other things. But yeah, dude, I collected shoes for years and years.
Years, right? Yeah. You're telling me all the different shoes you had.
15 years.
Like, you
something
had
like that.
these? You had the first pair of those? Like,
Yeah.
what? You still have them? Like, because you technically still have most of those.
I have a lot of shoes.
Yeah, they're just somewhere in storage.
Yeah, they're sitting. They're waiting. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they're just waiting.
What was your most memorable pickup? A shoe where you'll always remember picking that shoe up because you always thought it was the coolest.
Well, OG Bread 11s.
Bread 11s.
Yeah.
Dang.
I remember
Classics.
mowing lawns for, I don't know. This is the first pair of shoes I ever bought myself.
Oh yeah.
I remember mowing lawns for
Damn.
2 years to buy a pair of Jordans.
Dude, that's insane.
Right? And I remember I went to the shoe store, and I don't even know when the release was.
Right. Yeah.
But they were there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in the day, they were there.
Yeah.
There wasn't none of this waiting in line, get a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
None of that
crazy
stuff. And they were there, and I was just like, I want these shoes. And the
Mhm.
dude was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, here's my money. And then some other guy came out from the back, and he said, don't ever wear those.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, don't ever wear those. They're going to be worth a lot of money. And I was like, man. And I didn't have enough for 2 pairs.
Damn.
But I was just like, all right. And I listened to him, and I never
really?
wore them.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I sold them.
Dead stock.
Dead stock.
Damn.
But they weren't worth a lot of money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, a couple $100, but
Huh.
not like don't wear them and it's gonna make you rich.
Yeah.
As a kid,
Just hit a
you're just
million.
like, oh man, I'm gonna be rich from this pair of shoes. No, put a couple $100 in your pocket and you just roll out, right?
When did you sell them? Was it quickly after you bought them, or?
No, I bought them on release. I sold
Oh,
these
yeah.
like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Damn, and you didn't get that much for them, huh?
I think I sold them for like 700.
It's not bad for just a pair of shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just for a pair of shoes.
Yeah, they had never even been on my foot.
Damn, never tried them on.
Yeah, so they probably weren't even good. If someone tried them on, they'd probably explode. Yeah, foam
Yeah.
had never been compressed.
Yeah, yeah,
Unless
that's true.
someone tried them on prior to me.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. 'Cause
Yeah,
Obviously, people that don't know, that's how some of those Jordans go.
yeah.
So if you don't ever wear them, like they just basically disintegrate.
They explode.
Yeah.
You step down and then,
It just- yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. But I mean, I used to work at a shoe retail shop.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just surrounded by that shoe game, I guess. I wasn't really big into it because I was just into fishing. I just did it as a job.
Mhm.
But, you know, you do something long enough and something you kind of have some interest in it, or you start to know things. So like on those Jordan releases, I'd show up to I was working that day and having to wait for the line of people to come in, asking, yelling at me to get them their shoes. I'm like, dude, I ain't got your size. They're yelling at me like,
Yeah.
bro, I can't help you, bro. Like,
You got a ticket? Did you,
yeah,
did you get drawn?
Did you win?
Yeah.
You didn't win. Why are you in line, bro?
Yeah,
Like-
get out of here, bro.
So I mean, like, I semi got into like shoes. I never thought that they were like this thing that I had to buy and collect.
It's so crazy how people get about things.
Mm.
Every single thing in the world has a collector,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, look at fishing.
And-
Guys are collecting Pop Maxes.
Yeah, weirdos,
Yeah, who would ever do that?
right? But like, it's just crazy how it gets. Like the most randomest thing ever
Yeah.
will have a collector,
Mm-hmm.
and people go nuts over it. And then somebody will just look at it and be like, "I don't get it."
I don't get it.
Yeah, you can
Doesn't
be
make
like,
any sense.
"This is my prized possession."
Just a like
I
super rare thing.
Yeah, I dug tunnels for 600 years through all the deserts of the world to find this, and I finally got it. And someone be like, "What is it?"
Yeah, what is it? I mean, imagine you go up to some random stranger and you said, yeah, I collect fishing lures.
Yeah,
I don't use them to catch fish. I just collect them.
yeah,
They'd be like, oh, I don't get it. And then you'd show them pictures like, no, look at this one. No, look at this. No, isn't that one cool? And
you're
they'd
like,
be
"That's dumb."
That's dumb as hell. Why don't you just collect shoes?
Yeah, only the people in your own world understand.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is, and even then, some people might not understand.
Yeah,
Because there's definitely times when I'm like, where I catch myself, I'm like, I personally like don't really collect lures, but there's people that do it in like swim baits and stuff. And I'm like, this is so interesting that this is what we choose to collect, a fishing lure.
yeah,
But then it goes back to you. It's like, it's the same thing you could say about shoes. We just wear shoes on our feet and walk around.
yeah.
But people collect them too. It just doesn't make sense if you're not into it. For sure.
It's only valuable to the person that holds them,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when people started collecting things at the beginning of whenever, it was more of like everything meant something to that person.
Right.
Like It had a memory attached to it and stuff like that. But not anymore.
Not anymore.
It's fucking shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you remember spending a lot of money for them shoes.
Yeah, you do.
That's what you remember, because you never seen them before.
Right.
And you wanted to get them on
People
the day.
were talking about it, like, yo, you got to get these shoes. These shoes are sick.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I have a shot at getting these. Like, I got to get them.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know if it's to feed, like, your own want or to get approval from others, but there's definitely something there.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Probably, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Good times.
All right, well, that is basically Griff and all of his existence. There's a lot more to this man that you guys will probably never know, unless he comes out one day and says, fuck it.
Nah, man.
But thanks for coming on and talking, dude.
I appreciate you having me, dude.
It was good talking with you. It's good to not hear Ben's voice.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, fishing, YouTube. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. The next episode will be about something about fishing and more fishing talk. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next podcast. See you later.
Later.